A woman in a video from 1938 looks like she's talking on a cell phone. Did a man travel back to 1995 to catch a Mike Tyson fight? And in Mongolia, a 1500-year-old mummy was found wearing shoes that look suspiciously like a fresh pair of Adidas. These are time travelers caught on camera who can't be explained. So in 2016, a team of archaeologists in Mongolia made a strange discovery. It was a 1500-year-old mummy buried in the Altai Mountains. The body was impressively well preserved, but what really set off the internet were the shoes. People swore they looked exactly like a pair of modern Adidas sneakers. Observe the black stripes, the overall sporty design. Photos of the find started popping up online, and of course, the time travel talk began. Were they serious? For the most part, no. Were a few people serious though? Yeah. Probably. Why would someone from over 1,000 years ago be wearing something that looked like it came straight from a footlocker? People said. What the hell is footlocker? Said the Zoomers. Is that like jail for people's feet? Or MMA move? I'm not crazy, right? Like, there's not as many footlockers as there used to be. Anyway, even if it wasn't Adidas, the style was bizarrely modern. Well, that's when the experts stepped in, and by that I do not mean footlocker employees, I mean archaeologists and historians who addressed the issue at hand, or should I say issue at foot. And they said, no, these are not Adidas. Stripes were apparently part of traditional Mongolian stitching, and the shape of the shoe was just, I don't know, a coincidence, I guess. According to researchers, it wasn't meant to look like a sneaker, it just aged in a way that made it look familiar to us now. This is what Mike Tyson used to look like before his face tattoo. This is footage from his 1995 boxing match with Peter McNeely, but when you slow it down and zoom in on a guy sitting ringside, something looks kinda out of place. Someone looks like they're holding up something that looks exactly like a smartphone, filming vertically, which is weird because it's 1995. Phones like that just didn't exist yet. The first smartphones were still years away, and the first phones with video cameras were even further off. But this guy is clearly holding something slim and rectangular. You can even see a lens glint in the light, like it's catching the action. So what was it? Well, some say it was just a camcorder, but camcorders in the mid-90s were clunky, didn't hold them like a phone. Others say maybe it was a prototype. I don't know. I think the most probable answer, though, is that someone who was so distraught over his fight with Jake Paul, or whatever you want to call that, I don't even know if it was a fight, but in their desperation, they were somehow able to craft a working time machine, using it to, of course, travel back to the mid-90s to see Mike Tyson right after he got out of prison. It's an odd time to choose, not quite his prime, but he was still winning fights. Regardless, though, if you're gonna go back in time, you're not going to leave your cell phone behind, right? So this one comes from a 1938 video. It's quick, but take a look at the woman who has her hand to her ear. Notice something? It really looks like she's talking on a cell phone, doesn't it? Now, obviously, that makes zero sense. Cell phones weren't a thing for another 60 years. So, of course, people started tossing around their theories. Aside from people debunking it, though, there are really only two theories people have. That this chick's either a time traveler, or this is a case of some sort of glitch in reality. Like whatever computer overlord is controlling our reality accidentally added a cell phone to a video supposedly shot long before they were invented. Makes sense to me, but the official explanation is more boring. Interesting in its own way, though. So a woman came forward years later claiming that it was her great aunt in the footage. According to her, a factory she was working at had an experimental communications division, and the workers were testing out wireless radios. That's supposedly what this woman was holding, a two-way radio prototype. Kinda cool. But if that technology was available in 1938, why did it take another half century to get mobile phones into people's hands? I don't know, I just make videos about sea monsters and ghosts. The hell do I know, really? Cell phones are all over this list. Seems like this is the only way to tell if someone's traveled back in time and showed up on camera. So this one comes from a behind-the-scenes video that was included as a bonus feature for Charlie Chaplin's 1928 movie, The Circus. Shows people arriving for the film's premiere. It's street footage outside the theater in Los Angeles. But if you look closely, there's a woman walking by in the background doing something very weird for 1928. She's holding something up to her ear, and she's talking into it. like she's on a cellular telephone. Filmmaker George Clark posted the clip online back in 2010, and he called it Chaplin's time traveler. The mainstream explanation is that she's using an early hearing aid. Apparently those did exist in the late 20s, and some of them had to be held up to the ear like that. News to me. Next, we have the Greek military time travelers. In 2017, an anonymous man claimed that after serving in the Greek military for 6 years, he was invited in 2013 to participate in a top secret time travel project. According to his account, this project saw him travel to the year 3207, a journey that lasted 2 days. From his perspective, about a month after his story came out, another anonymous man from Greece also said he was a student when in 2008 he was reportedly approached by a professor who offered him the chance to be part of a time travel experiment. He accepted and claimed to have been sent to the year 10,000. The purpose of this experiment was said to be related to gaining knowledge about a future war between humans and artificial intelligence. Again, I think they sent him way too far into the future if it's a war between humans and artificial intelligence. 10,000? That's pretty far up there. Maybe there's something wrong with the machine. And also, I mean, according to some other time travelers we've discussed already, that's a war we won't be winning. They could have just asked them, saved the whole trip. Next up, we have Athos Salome, who's now being referred to as the modern-day Nostradamus. He's made all these predictions about the future, a lot of them very similar to the type of stuff we've heard of before when it comes to end-of-the-world conspiracies, alien contact coming soon, AI reaching a new level of awareness and taking over, more deadly natural disasters, a big war, soon we'll be able to communicate with the dead through artificial intelligence technology, you know, all your standard stuff. But what I find really genuinely interesting and kind of creepy about this whole thing is that I'm honestly not even sure if this Athos Salome guy is a real person. I've seen plenty of pictures of him, and I've read news articles quoting things he's apparently said. I've seen other people in videos quoting things he said. I'm one of them. We have a whole video on this guy on the channel. Check it out after this. But I haven't seen footage of him actually moving his mouth and talking on video. I've seen like one, but it's like a narrator over top of it, and it's like low quality. It could be AI generated. And I mean, just look at him. Doesn't he look like he could be an AI generated image to you? I mean, all these news articles say he makes TikTok videos, but I can't find them. So what the hell is actually going on here? Who is Athos Salome? Is there a real person behind all these predictions, or is this some kind of artificially created thing? And if so, who created it? Next up, we have a man who claimed to have traveled through time with Barack Obama, Andrew Basiago. Basiago claimed he was part of Project Pegasus, a secret US government initiative that he says took place during the 60s and 70s. This project focused on developing technology for teleportation and time travel. He said he was chosen as a participant when he was just a young tyke because of his father's connection to the project. The technologies he mentioned included the chronovisor and teleporters. A chronovisor is said to be a device that allows users to view events from the past and future, while teleporters are said to enable physical travel across time and space instantaneously. But he didn't just go forwards in time, no, he traveled back to 1863, where he witnessed the Gettysburg Address delivered by President Abe Lincoln himself. Basiago was very public with his claims. At one point, he even ran for president, with part of his platform promising to reveal the secrets of time travel and teleportation technology. I mean, how did he not win the presidency? Doesn't everyone want to know all of these secrets? It was a cheap tactic, but I guess in the end, it didn't work anyway. Finally, we have the one and only John Titor. This is probably the most well-known time-traveling claim in the history of the internet. Now, of course, the whole thing is very far-fetched, but what is interesting about these posts are how detailed they are. Whoever this John Titor really is or was, quite the imagination. Or he's a real time traveler, obviously. So it all began in November of 2000 when someone started posting on online forums claiming to be an American military time traveler from the year 2036. They later start using the name John Titor in future posts, and according to Titor, he was sent back to 1975 originally to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer in order to read older programming languages in the future. He claims this machine was needed to debug legacy computer programs that existed in his time. And on his way back to 2036, Titor claimed he made a stopover in the year 2000 for personal reasons, and during this time is when he decided to interact with people on internet message boards. He gave detailed explanations about how his time machine and how time travel worked in general. He included diagrams and descriptions of its operation based on theoretical physics concepts. Till this day, it's still a complete mystery as to who this guy was. Was it just some dude having some fun? Was it a social experiment of some kind? We'll probably never know. What I do know though is that his whole story was a bit more interesting than just like, oh, aliens invade in the future. Going back from an old IBM computer? I don't know. Creative.
What if a personal tragedy could light the spark for defying physics itself? Meet Professor Ronald Mallett, a man whose childhood heartbreak transformed into a lifelong quest to bend time. At just 10 years old, Mallett's world was shattered by the sudden loss of his beloved father, Boyd. In the midst of overwhelming grief, he discovered solace in the pages of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine and the revolutionary ideas of Einstein. These readings planted a radical seed in his mind. What if time, much like space, could be traveled? With his heart set on rewriting the past, young Mallett vowed to journey back to 1955 to save his father. Fueling his dreams with determination, Mallett dove deep into the world of physics. Even as a child cobbling together a makeshift model from bicycle parts, spare TV components, and old radio bits, his ideas transcended mere fantasy. He was captivated by a single transformative line. Scientific people know very well that time is just a kind of space, which propelled him into a stellar academic career. Over the decades, he advanced from a curious, grief-stricken boy in the Bronx into one of the pioneering theoretical physicists of his generation. Now an emeritus professor at the University of Connecticut, Mallett's research centers on the audacious idea, twisting the fabric of space-time with a ring of rotating lasers. Imagine stirring a cup of coffee until the swirl creates a vortex. Mallett theorizes that a similar effect occurs near a rotating black hole, where space-time itself gets dragged along. By replicating such conditions with a continuously spinning beam of light, he believes a loop of time might be created. A portal, if you will, that allows travel back along the timeline. Although the practical hurdles remain enormous, his critics point out that such a machine would require astronomical amounts of energy, likening it to a galactic-scale feat. His theory has sparked serious discussion in academic circles. Institutions like MIT and specialized departments worldwide are now studying aspects of time reversal and related phenomena, signaling that time travel might be less outlandish than once thought. While Mallett's ultimate goal, to return to 1955 and rewrite personal history, remains beyond our reach, and, by his own admission, might only ever allow travel back to the moment the time loop was created, his work has broader, inspiring implications. He envisions a future where the ability to manipulate time could be harnessed for incredible advances, predicting natural disasters with precision, inventing breakthrough treatments in medicine, or even curbing the impact of catastrophic events like pandemics. In this light, his research is less about personal revenge against fate and more about opening doors to potential innovations that could transform the well-being of humanity. His journey from a grieving child to a celebrated astrophysicist illustrates how heartache can fuel intellectual curiosity, inspiring us to question the rigid boundaries of our reality. In his eyes, his father's memory is not just a source of sorrow, but the spark that ignited a legacy of discovery. And in my opinion, that is the best legacy he could have left, and I can only imagine how proud his father would have been. Andrew Basiago is a controversial figure who claims that as a child, he was recruited into a secret US government project, often associated with the mysterious Project Pegasus that allegedly enabled him to traverse both space and time. According to his narrative, these experimental missions allowed him not only to visit different points in history, but also to glimpse potential futures, suggesting that the rigid boundaries between past, present, and future might be more flexible than mainstream science acknowledges. Andrew's accounts describe surreal journeys during which he purportedly witnessed historical events firsthand and interacted with realities that challenge our conventional understanding of time. While his stories have captured the imagination of time travel enthusiasts and sparked intriguing debates within alternative scientific circles, mainstream researchers remain skeptical, citing a lack of empirical evidence to substantiate these extraordinary claims. I know the claims sound outlandish, but this is also coming from a person who is apparently a practicing and educated attorney. It all really is interesting, and hey, I could see it being true, and also untrue, so I guess I'll just let you decide on this one. Could it be a hidden hand that has been subtly rewriting our timeline all along? Some researchers point to a peculiar spike in Mandela effect searches around 2005, speculating that one mysterious figure might be at the root of these temporal oddities. They draw connections between little-known details, like Donald Trump's uncle, once a respected MIT professor who played a role in World War II, and his family's acquisition of Nikola Tesla's private research, which was later funneled to John Trump for analysis after Tesla's demise. This web of intrigue deepens when you factor in figures such as Alfred Lee Loomis, a key collaborator in the Manhattan Project and pioneer of cyclotron technology, who reportedly worked closely with John Trump. Then there's the curious role of Prince Bernhard, a co-founder of both CERN and the Bilderberg Group, who reportedly orchestrated a covert mission to collect and repurpose German scientific research on the Heidelberg cyclotron after World War II, a move seen by some as part of a larger, hidden agenda against Nazi Germany. All of these connections hint at a clandestine effort where cutting-edge science, government cover-ups, and historical revisionism intermingle, leaving us to wonder if our understanding of time has been manipulated by forces determined to keep these secrets buried beneath layers of conspiracy and intrigue. Could a year in space turn your body into a real-life time machine, rewriting how you age? Consider the famous twin paradox from Einstein's playbook. One twin zooming through space at near light speed should age slower than the twin left on Earth, but real-life evidence from NASA's twin astronauts tells a twisty tale. Astronaut Scott Kelly, who spent nearly a year aboard the International Space Station, appears to have aged slightly faster than his identical Earthbound twin Mark, a striking example of how the extreme conditions of space can warp not only your surroundings but also your very biological clock. When Scott ventured into low Earth orbit, he wasn't hurtling through space at light speed. Instead, his body faced a cocktail of space-related challenges. Constant exposure to radiation, the stress of microgravity, disrupted sleep cycles, and the cramped confines of a space station. These factors combined to accelerate certain aspects of his aging process. While traditional time dilation from high-speed travel remains safely in Einstein's theoretical realm, Scott's experience hints at a more earthly sort of time travel, one that happens inside our cells. One of the quirkiest findings from the NASA twins study was that Scott's telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes that naturally shorten as we age, actually lengthened while he was in space, in a way that seemed like a reverse aging effect, a biological nod to the possibility of time reversal. But here's the catch: once he returned to Earth, those telomere gains vanished, and in fact, he ended up with more short telomeres than before his flight. This sudden flip-flop raises both scientific questions and health concerns, pointing to a long-term risk of accelerated aging or even an increased chance of developing age-related diseases. So next time you glance at the clock, ponder this. Could the ticking of our timepieces be subtly affected by where we are, or even by the very environment we inhabit? With every venture into space, humanity inches closer to understanding the intricate dance between time, biology, and the cosmos.
Did a man somehow teleport onto this road in Russia? Take a look at this. It's always Russia, isn't it? I don't know why so much bizarre footage comes out of there, but this is a very strange video. I just don't understand where this guy appeared from and how he didn't get pancaked by that truck. Makes no sense. Slowing the video down though, I don't know, maybe it looks like he was already walking on the road and the truck was just blocking our view of him, and then it does this insane swerve to avoid hitting him, but even still, this is crazy. I mean, it really does look like he just spawns out of nowhere like a video game. And whatever the explanation, he was definitely an inch from death. This one comes from a photo taken in... I'm sorry, editor. Just gonna have to insert the name in text here. This place is in Iceland. It's 1943. Nothing out of the ordinary here, right? Just a bunch of people standing around the street dressed in typical 1940s attire, but let's play some Where's Waldo. Can you spot a dude talking on a cell phone? See the guy leaning against the building? Interesting indeed. He's dressed more casually than everyone else, almost modern. I mean, he's wearing a trench coat, but modern. He's holding something up to his ear though, like he's on a phone call. Now, obviously flip phones weren't a thing in 1943, so what's this lad here doing? Was he just checking or adjusting a pipe by listening to it? Was he scratching his face with something? Absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. This fool was talking on a cell phone. He didn't think yours truly would notice, but I did. I did. Sue me. Honestly though, it really does look like someone using a cell phone. Like a guy who stepped out to take a call, you know, during a street fair or something. There's a short film from the UK that was shot in the early 1940s. It shows a bunch of people relaxing on a beach. Got kids building sandcastles, there's people reading newspapers. But right in the middle of the frame, this one guy walks through holding something. And yes, sorry for the lack of variety here, but it really looks like this man has a cell phone or some other modern piece of technology. But instead of talking on it, looks like he's texting. At least that's what a bunch of people online have said. He just looks weirdly modern and out of place. The suit probably has something to do with it. I don't think I've ever seen someone in a suit and tie at the beach. Maybe Doctor Who? But what does Doctor Who do? I don't know, you tell me. I'm Star Trek all the way, but I think he has time traveled. In 2008, a team of archaeologists in China opened what was supposed to be a completely sealed tomb, untouched for about 400 years. As they carefully went through the site, they found something on the floor, a small metal object that looked like a watch. Wasn't an ancient sundial or a decorative bracelet or something. This was an actual modern looking watch. The time was stuck at 10:06 and the back of it was engraved with the word Swiss. Now, a find like this makes no sense. Wristwatches weren't invented until long after the tomb was sealed, and while Switzerland is definitely known for watches today, the idea that a Swiss branded watch somehow ended up in a centuries-old Chinese tomb was very odd, to say the least. So, yes, some believe this was a case of someone slipping into the past and leaving behind their watch before returning to their own time. So this is Greta Thunberg, and this is not Greta Thunberg, apparently. That's because this photo was taken in 1898 during the Klondike Gold Rush. The similarity is uncanny though. She even has the same braid, same serious expression. Suffice to say, this photo blew up online. Some took it as a joke, calling her a time traveler sent back to warn us, but there are totally people out there who fully believe Greta's part of a secret government time travel program. What do you all think? And of course, we gotta talk about this one. This photo was taken in 1941 at the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in British Columbia. It's your typical black and white historical image. Everyone's standing around in old-fashioned coats and hats and suits, except for one guy. One dude looks like he walked straight out of a college campus in the 2000s. He's wearing what looks like a modern sweater with a graphic tee underneath and sunglasses. He's also holding a small camera that seems pretty compact for the time. He sticks out so badly, it's almost like someone photoshopped him in. But that's not the case here. Forums and YouTube videos started popping up, calling him the time-traveling hipster. But of course, there's always someone ready to kill the vibe. Debunkers pointed out that the sunglasses were actually around in the 20s and 30s. The printed t-shirt is likely just a sweater with a Stitch logo, yada yada. And while the camera does look modern, compact cameras apparently did exist then. They just weren't super common. And we're starting off our list with a traveler who has some pretty bad news for animal lovers out there. John, a self-proclaimed time traveler, claims to have actually come from the year 4000 and traveled back in time with some interesting details about the future. Apparently, in the year 4000, technology will have advanced to such an extent that artificial intelligence dominates most of the world. He describes a world where AI merges with daily human activity, leading to a new era where biological and artificial entities coexist almost seamlessly. Seems like this is going to happen way sooner than the year 4000 though. One of the more specific claims John makes is about the way corporations will evolve in the future. He states that all companies will be owned by a single mega corporation that uses AI to manage its operations. This corporation supposedly designs, builds, and controls robots that perform nearly all types of jobs, pushing humans out of the workforce. According to John, the result is a society where human labor is no longer necessary and robots handle most tasks. John also notes that these advancements in AI and robotics lead to changes in the environment and the social structure of society. He also states that pets like cats and dogs won't be a thing anymore, and that all birds were destroyed in order to prevent them from colliding with flying cars. Aren't there a lot more things we could collide with, like driving normal cars, than like up in the sky? Why don't we destroy everything in our path, already? I don't know. That's an odd one. Next up, we have a man named William Taylor, who has some pretty wild things to say about the future, and interesting side note, he also passed a lie detector test, apparently. Now, I know lie detector tests aren't always foolproof, but not many people who claim to have traveled to the future have gone through any kind of test like that. So if that is true about the test, I don't know, that's kind of interesting. In 2018, a man named William Taylor claimed to have been part of a British intelligence project in which he traveled all the way to the year 8973. And he said that things were, or will be, actually pretty good in the distant future, so good in fact that he didn't even want to leave and come back to this time. Now, the only thing is that humans won't exist anymore, not the way we do currently anyway. Instead, a species of human-robot hybrids will populate the Earth, but no disease or crime will plague it, and these beings experience eternal life. Taylor also revealed some other intriguing information, like how time travel has actually been used by world governments since 1981. The technology was apparently reverse engineered from alien spacecrafts. A TikTok channel called Real TikTok Time Traveler started posting some pretty outlandish videos in 2022, mainly because this anonymous user claimed to be a time traveler. Is a channel the correct term when it comes to TikTok, by the way? Page? Like, do you say just like user? I'm very out of touch. I don't know where I am. Help me. But they've posted tons of videos making all kinds of claims about what the future holds, most of it pretty dark, because that's what people just love gobbling up. They claim to be from the year 2236 and mostly post about events that will be playing out over the next 10 years. Some of their standouts include, in 2025, scientists discovering signs of life on 2 different planets that are proven to be more advanced than humans, and a meteor coming down to Earth in 2034 that will wipe out half of America. So look forward to that. Alaric goes by the handle Radiant Time Traveler on TikTok and has shared some pretty grave warnings about the future. He claims to be from the year 2671, and in his latest video, he lets the fine people of the internet know about some of the notable stuff that's going to go down in the remainder of 2024. Keep May 15th marked down in your calendar, because an alien race is going to show up on Earth and transport 10,000 people to another planet. But aliens coming to Earth isn't going to catch our attention for long though, because May 27th marks the beginning of the next American Civil War, which will then lead to the outbreak of World War III. But don't be too worried about your hands or feet being blown off in the war, because less than a month after the fighting kicks off, a new fruit will be discovered that helps regrow lost limbs. Also in June, the very first human-chimp hybrid will be created, and June 19th also sees a new type of storm form called a mind storm, which causes people to lose their minds and go on violent rampages. As if World War III isn't enough already. Now we have a 28 days later situation on our hands. But the best part of it all, summer. It's really gonna end with a bang. when real-life dragons are discovered in the Rocky Mountains. They fly, they breathe fire, and they even speak English. Yes, specifically English. Sorry to everyone else in the world. You'll just have to watch these dragons fly around while we chat with them. Next on the list we have Darkness Time Traveler. Now, our boy Darkness has a pretty ominous bio on his TikTok channel / page / whatever you call it, reading, "Darkness is coming. The Shadow Network is almost here," from the year 2858. The Shadow Network? Jankies. I'm guessing that's not just a TV station that shows clips of shadows 24/7. In Darkness's latest video, they claim that the solar eclipse that just went down last week was actually a smokescreen for a bunch of alien beings to fly down to Earth on meteors, obscured from our view because of the eclipse. Because apparently we wouldn't be able to see meteors flying down the Earth because it's a little bit darker out. These alien beings are known by many other alien species though as the Planet Enders, or Endids. They spell it two different ways in the video. Gonna guess they wrote the text in haste though to make sure we all got this information in time. People from 2858 can make spelling mistakes too. Anyway, the Planet Endids have invaded a plethora of planets across the galaxy, and aside from their warmongering, violent ways, they've also brought a disease with them to Earth, the same disease that wiped out the alien beings who apparently once lived on Mars. So these invaders have been among us for about a week now at the time of this recording, awaiting the perfect time to strike. Because you guys are kind of watching this in the future, at least compared to me, why don't you let me know down in the comments what's going on. Our journey through time continues with a mysterious man simply known as Edward. In 2018, a man calling himself Edward came out claiming to be a time traveler from the year 5000. He said he'd been part of a top secret government time travel mission in 2004, where he traveled to the year 5000. He gave an interview where he shared a photo of what he said was Los Angeles in the future, and according to him, the city will be submerged underwater due to massive flooding caused by climate change. To substantiate his claim, Edward provided a photograph which he said depicted the future state of LA. In the photo, he described seeing skyscrapers and other buildings submerged in water, with only the tops visible above the waterline. He also stated that in the future, the effects of global warming will cause sea levels to rise significantly, leading to widespread flooding in coastal cities around the world, including Los Angeles, and that the inhabitants of these cities will have to adapt to new living conditions, with the remaining population living on the water's surface.
What if the sound of crashing waves carried echoes of centuries past? Down in the quaint coastal town of Broadhaven, Wales, local residents and visitors have reported moments where time itself seems to rewind. One well-documented account tells of a family enjoying a sunny beach day, only to be startled when the laughter of children and the clatter of horse-drawn carriage sounds seemingly out of place filled the air. For a few breathless minutes, the modern seaside transformed into a scene reminiscent of the 19th century. Old-fashioned attire, vintage beach umbrellas, and even a glimpse of a forgotten seaside fair emerged as if summoned by the tides. Though no definitive evidence proves a temporal shift, the repetitive detail and specificity of these tales have earned the spot a reputation among time slip enthusiasts. It remains a beloved piece of local lore, inviting curious visitors to watch the horizon and wonder if, just for a moment, history might be unfolding right before their eyes. Picture an unidentified man claiming he's a time traveler from the year 3036 recently found himself in hot water with the law after being arrested for stealing. Authorities were immediately baffled. He had no birth record, no social security number, and no official identification on file. When asked about his actions, he explained that in his time, clothing and food are freely available in marketplaces, so taking them without paying is completely normal. His assertion that this behavior is standard in his future society not only added a surreal twist to the encounter, but also sparked a mixture of intrigue and amusement among those who heard the story. Whether he is truly from 3036 or merely spinning an elaborate tale remains a bit of a mystery, leaving everyone to wonder just how much of our current reality might one day be influenced by bizarre future customs. systems. In the mid-1970s, an 8-year-old scout from a quiet suburban neighborhood just south of Stockholm experienced a baffling episode of missing time. On an ordinary October evening, after returning from a scout meeting by foot, he followed his well-known route home until, near a familiar roundabout, everything suddenly slowed down. A deep subwoofer-like hum filled the air, and the world around him seemed to freeze in a tunnel vision moment lasting only 15 or 20 seconds. When his senses returned, he discovered that a sudden rain had drenched his clothes and sneakers, an unexpected change from the clear sky he remembered moments before. Hurrying home, he was met by his frantic parents, who insisted that he had been missing for over an hour. They explained that while they had searched the neighborhood and even contacted other parents, he had simply vanished without a trace. In later conversations, his father recalled retracing the boy's usual path in disbelief, and his mother, with a mix of humor and lingering concern, even suggested that he might have been abducted by aliens. To this day, as an adult reflecting on that lost hour, he remains mystified by the inexplicable event, with no clear memory of seeing anything other than the eerie quiet of frozen time. In the summer of 2011, a peculiar incident unfolded for a family en route to a campsite that left them baffled for years. While a 19-year-old, his sister, their father, and stepmother drove along, enjoying the journey and switching radio stations, everything seemed normal until they passed through a tunnel. Emerging on the other side, a phone call from their nan shattered their routine. She sounded relieved, asking where they were, though her and their uncle had already reached the campsite hours earlier. The conversation was utterly baffling. The father, confused by the nan's query of "where have you been," soon discovered that, according to the radio's clock, 4 hours had inexplicably vanished in what felt like mere seconds. In stunned silence, the family grappled with the surreal loss of time. Their phones confirmed that hours had indeed passed. Later discussions yielded wild theories. The father speculated that they might have slipped through a time vortex or have been abducted, while the stepmother, a general practitioner, suggested that they may have simply misjudged the passage of time or experienced a shared moment of amnesia or another delusion. Ultimately, despite occasional mentions among the family, the mystery of that 30-second lapse in time remains unsolved.